Prednisone's kind of like if your house was on fire, instead of like putting out the fire, you just flood the entire house. Well, you got the fire out, but now there's a bunch of other damage. That's kind of prednisone. Hello and welcome back to another week of Calling in Sick. I'm your host, Alex Wilderson. So last week we talked about all things medical billing, and I, for one, learned a ton that I am a little bit embarrassed to say I did not know at the age of 30, having fought chronic illness for 25 years. But that just goes to show we can always up-level however we're handling our medical finances. But I, for one, will be having a lot of medical bills this month because I had 2 rounds of Rituxan this month, the most recent being this last Friday. I have my endometriosis excision surgery number 2 on Monday. And after a week of recovery, I have IVIG for 5 days. And then after 2 weeks, I'll be traveling to Pennsylvania to participate in my first clinical research study. And because hearing all of that out loud makes me realize that, wow, that is a lot, I decided to kind of sit down, reflect, and take stock of my life and how I'm handling my health, physically, emotionally, financially, all those things, and take an assessment on what I'm doing well, where is there room for improvement, and use that to help inform my next steps and plans. Because when you are autoimmune or chronically ill and you have to go on some of these rather aggressive medications and treatments, the decisions you make don't just impact you for right now and while you're on the medication, they have implications for the next 2, 5, 10, sometimes forever years. So you have to be thoughtful when you're making these decisions, which is very overwhelming. So I'll be breaking down how I'm approaching that in this week's episode. I don't know if that is the right way or the wrong way, but it is my own way. So take what you want and leave what you don't. And I know I've been asking you guys to write in the comments. It also flag, it is one of my favorite things to read y'all's comments, to get DMs from you guys, so please continue. It truly warms my heart so much. And this week I would love for you to put in the comments one thing that you think if you were to focus on it, it would have a positive impact on how you're currently feeling. It has to be something that you can control, but let me know. Like, what's your one easy thing that you think could be a win for you? And then we'll all share, and maybe we can all collectively do some easy wins and feel a lot better. Who knows? And I have one other ask for you guys this week. But of course, with this ask, I wanted to have some incentive. So if you would like a sleep crown pillow and a pair of nudes PJs, both things I have been raving about on my podcast and on my social media because they are amazing. If you would like to have those for yourself, if you would like to have those things for yourself, this is as easy as just filling out this questionnaire and being entered into the raffle. So this survey is so that I can better understand y'all and what you want out of this podcast and platform to make sure that I'm making content that you guys want. It's just 2 short sections. It shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes, but it'll help me a lot so that I can understand y'all better. So click the link in the description below or send me a DM or comment, and I'll hook you up with the link to participate in this survey and raffle. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to kind of up-level all of the content and make sure I'm making this the space that you guys all want. And before we dive into all of my health updates, let's go through my Alex's picks of the week. Okay, so my first pick of the week is the Loftie lamp. You guys know I've been really focused on up-leveling my sleep hygiene. As someone with a chronic illness, as someone with multiple chronic illnesses, it is very difficult to have restful sleep. Whether it's symptoms keeping me up at night, like pain or nausea or GI issues, or I simply just cannot get comfortable in my bed, or it's the ruminating stress wheel that my brain will run on loop at nighttime, or the medications that I'm taking that have me wired. Sleep can feel elusive. So in January, I stumbled across this brand called Loftie. And Loftie makes quite a few different products, all focused on improving your sleep. The product that I was drawn to at first were these lamps. They sit next to your bedside table, and they light up like a sunrise at the time you want your alarm to go off, and then decrease like a sunset whenever you want to be reminded or nudged gently to go to sleep. There's also There's also an app that goes with this, so you can do like white noise or birds chirping or meditation or mindfulness activity alongside that lamp on your phone, or you can get their alarm clock speaker that will hook up with that. They also have these like little dark dots that you can put over your electronics in your bedroom to make those dark, but you can still use them. And they have the comfiest sweatshirt in the world that just says sleep. I wore it on last week's episode. It is Sick Chick approved. So freaking comfortable. I love it. Code and information below. My second pick of the week are my New Balance 530s. I am obsessed. I have neuropathy in my feet. Well, I guess in both feet, but technically in both feet, but I don't feel my left foot. But I feel my right foot. And I also have vasculitis in both feet, which show up as these really, really painful nodules all over the sole of my foot, around my foot, the top of my foot. It's just awful. So it's important to me that I have tennis shoes or any shoe that's like a good solid cushion that makes my foot feel like it's on a cloud. Unfortunately, if that shoe has too much cushion, I literally cannot feel the ground on the one foot that can feel, and I stumble around and fall like the klutzy girl I am at heart. But that can be dangerous. So these shoes, the New Balance 530s, the perfect right amount of cushion. They're great for walking. They're great for running, I would assume. I don't do that, but they look like runner shoes. They're wonderful. They're my go-to for every single day. And they're giving 90s Princess Diana vibes when she was running errands. So they are also Sick Girl Chic approved. Small hack that I have, if you too have baby-sized feet like I do, you can buy the kids version of it and it is way cheaper. So I have a woman's size 6.5, 7 foot. I got a boy's size 5 and they fit perfectly. It's my best hack that I've ever found. Okay, now on that note, let's dive on in. So last week on Monday, I met with my rheumatologist. Now, I should preface that I've been in an active autoimmune flare-up since like May of last year. So this is now almost, I can't do the math, we're getting closer to a year mark. And that's shocking to me. Like, I cannot believe I'm almost at a year of being in a flare-up and I'm still feeling shitty. I haven't been in this kind of place in years, like since 2019 when I first got diagnosed. So it scares me that it feels like we're kind of near that again. I had quite a few hospitalizations last year for flare-ups, which was also similar to 2019. And I guess I've been having my head down to just get through this, to just get through the symptoms and balance all the different balls in the air that are my life, that I hadn't really taken time to sit and reflect and take stock of where I really am physically and emotionally. But last week I had a wake-up call. I was supposed to have an in-person appointment with my rheumatologist on Monday afternoon. Well, Monday midday rolls around and I was like, Cooper, there's no way I can get myself out of this bed into an Uber and down to this appointment downtown in person. And that was sign flag number 1 that, okay, if I can't get out of my bed to just Uber somewhere to a doctor's appointment, then maybe I'm feeling a little bit worse than I am giving myself credit. But that didn't hit on Monday. That hit later on in the week. Tuesday, I had a call with my dermatologist, Cooper, and my mom and dad. And we had a brainstorming session. What can we do? What's next? Where are things shaking out? We haven't had a call like that in 6 years. A call where it was like a family, all hands on deck call. I also guess I just haven't been listening to my doctors as they've been saying, we're not quite sure what to do. So it didn't even register with me what it meant to be having this kind of powwow call with my doctor and my family. I was just under the impression, I guess I was having the thought process of like, oh yeah, we're all just stacking hands and going on. Sorry, I should rewind. Okay. So I should have had this awareness about the appointment, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I get my appointment moved to virtual. I have the appointment. During the appointment, my rheumatologist and I are chatting about the last 6 months. How do I feel Rituxan's been going? I've been on prednisone since May and I have not been able to get off of it. I've been on 40s. I've gone up to 60. I'm now down to 25. So There has been improvement, but just a lot slower than I think both of us expected, anticipated, and would have hoped. We also discussed Rituxan, if that was working. And at first, I think both her and I had the conclusion that maybe it wasn't working. At this point, mid-February, I have new nodules on both legs and now on my right arm, and that is scary. I also had to get imaging done on my brain because there was this concern that maybe there's vasculitis up here. Thankfully, it was a no. Bless. But now I'm having abdominal pain and I'm having endometriosis surgery tomorrow. So there's a question mark. Is it somehow in there? Lots of things. But when I pulled out my symptoms journal that I keep, I looked back and I didn't start noticing these new nodules or this kind of crash in brain fog, fatigue, appetite, nausea, stuff like that. All my normal vasculitis symptoms until late November, early December. And funnily enough, that would have been around the 4 to 5 mark from my first Rituxan dose. And to give context, Rituxan targets B cells and CD20, which is 2 inflammation pathways. You can dose it every 4 to 6 months. We were on the 6-month trajectory, which meant I would have had it January 1 of this year. I got new insurance, so that obviously did not happen. I got my next dose of Rituxan February 1. So what that means is that I went 7 months from first Rituxan dose to next Rituxan dose, and I maybe should have had it around month 4 or 5. So instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, we stacked hands and decided, let's redose Rituxan again, but go on that 4-month trial period, potentially 5. The other thing we decided was we just need to hit this hard. So although we're targeting the B cells and CD20 pathway right now with Rituxan, we're going to add in a medication I've been on before. It's another kind of chemotherapy drug called Myfortic or Cellcept or mycophenolic acid. So while Rituxan targets the B cells and the CD20, essentially doing a hard reset on my immune system, Myfortic or Cellcept targets the B cells and then it kind of acts as the governor of the immune system. So while Rituxan is reducing my immune system by wiping out all of my B cells and CD20, Myfortic or Cellcept targets both the T cells and the B cells and inhibits them from being produced. So it wipes out my immune system and then it kind of governs my immune system and says no more funky business. So with that added on, I would be on a rather aggressive treatment plan, especially because I'm also on Plaquenil, which is a kind of antiviral medication that for some reason also helps people with lupus and Sjogren's and some other autoimmune isms, and is kind of like an immune stabilizer, if you will. And then I'm also on IVIG, which is this replacement therapy of 20,000 healthy people's immunoglobulins or their immune system. And the thought is if we wipe out my immune system and suppress the production of new immune system and then give me healthy people's immune systems, and then I'm on Plaquenil, which should kind of regulate everything, then I should be in an okay place and I should be able to get off of prednisone, because prednisone is a wonderful magic drug that reduces inflammation at the drop of a dime. Prednisone's kind of like if your house was on fire, instead of putting out the fire, you just flood the entire house. Well, you got the fire out, but now there's a bunch of other damage. That's kind of prednisone. And prednisone is a miracle drug, but it does have really bad long-term side effects that you just have to be aware of. And it's not just the weight gain and the moon face and the hump on the back of your neck, the more physical signs, or the hair thinning or hair loss, or the skin thinning, the striae and stretch marks, all that jazz. It's not just the cosmetics that it impacts. It also can make your bones really weak, and you can develop osteopenia or osteoporosis, which can lead to brittle bones and stress fractures and breaks down the road. And it also can impact your adrenal glands long term. The glands that your body uses to naturally produce cortisol, which is kind of to naturally produce cortisol, which is basically what prednisone is mimicking. But once you are supplementing that cortisol through a medication, your adrenals stop producing it because they don't have to. That's why you have to taper prednisone really slowly so that your adrenal glands will kick back on. So obviously this is a pretty aggressive treatment plan. And if all of that does not work, then I likely would go back on cyclophosphamide. And cyclophosphamide, for those of you who've been following me for a while, I was on cyclophosphamide in 2021, I want to say. And it is a chemotherapy used most often with people that have breast cancer. It's obviously given at a much, 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 much lower dose than breast cancer patients because the goal of both of those treatments are different. But you do have pretty debilitating side effects from it nonetheless. I lost the majority of my hair. I had very thin hair that I had a flop where I would style around my bald spots. I was nauseous as fuck. I had no immune system. I felt weak. I felt tired. It was a hard medication to be on. It also can cause infertility and bladder cancer. So you have to go onto that medication eyes wide open. Thankfully, Cooper and I did IVF before I went on cyclophosphamide, and we were able to do one round. I'll do an episode on this one day because it was traumatic, going from like 40 eggs to 20 that got fertilized to like 10 that actually took, and then only 2 were viable. So we have 2 little embryo babies on ice waiting for us one day. And honestly, all of these decisions that we're making right now have a lot to do with them because in the next 5 years, I would love to become a mom. So Cooper and I started dating super young. We got married super young. We knew that we wanted to be young parents. I wanted to be a mom by age 26 and have 3 little babies by like 31, which was aggressive, but like that's what all of our parents did back in the day. So I thought that was normal. Also, I'm from the Midwest, so it is more normal there. Regardless of cultural things and whatnot, I myself personally wanted to be a mother. With my health, that timeline of the age I would start being a mom has continuously been pushed further and further back. Now, the older I've gotten, the more okay with that I've been, and looked back honestly with relief that I wasn't a mom at those ages because my health was in the shitter. Our jobs were so intense. I would not have had the time, energy, or capacity to take care of another human being. So that's a God wink, that's a God blessing that did not happen on my timeline. However, I'm now 30, turning 31 this year, and my ovaries literally explode every single time I hold a baby or see a puppy or see a baby on the street. Like, I want to be a mom so, so, so bad. And we're at a place in our life where we could do it and it would be great. And at this time last year, we were on the path to start a family by the end of 2024. Get embryos implanted at the start of 25, which would be now, and hopefully starting a family this year. So the fact that I'm now sitting here today and that timeline has now been pushed yet another 2 years is really hard. It's beyond words to describe how hard it is. It just feels like a dream that keeps slipping away. And honestly, at this point, I've started to question, is this something that's going to be a reality for me or not? And am I just living in la la land thinking that I will get to be a mom? And I know some of that thinking is self-preservation and protection to just get myself to a point where I would be okay if it isn't a possibility to have my own babies. And part of it is also external chatter. I've had a few doctors tell me that they don't think I should consider motherhood because my health is so much, and that would be unconscionable to put on a child, which is so fucked up. And that's a story for another day, because I have thoughts on that. And those thoughts are, that is the most ableist thing you can possibly say. I guess I'm just going to go down it. Those thoughts are ableist. There are parents that are completely healthy and are piss poor parents, and there are parents that are disabled and have health issues and are literally the perfect example of what a parent should be like. So yeah, my health is challenging, but it's going to give me also superpowers on being a mom. And honestly, it's when I have conversations like that I get my fire back in me and my conviction that like it doesn't fucking matter. I'm going to be a mom one way or another. And I guess what I'm trying to say out of all of this is I'm trying to get myself to a place mentally that if I can't have my babies on my own, we can look at surrogacy and we can look at adoption. And I know I'd be really happy and a wonderful mom in any way that can take form. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And I'm sure you guys can tell, I'm religious, and I have a favorite saying that when man plans, God laughs. And that is the exact line I am walking with motherhood. Yes, I want to be a mom, but I'm putting it in God's hands on how motherhood comes to be for me. And I genuinely will be so fucking happy any way it looks, just being able to have a little one to hold and to raise and to grow together. I can't wait for it. So that's a very long-winded way to say, after my rheumatology appointment, I started thinking, wow, this is going to be a very long journey ahead of me. And wow, Cooper and I have a lot of things on this table we have got to start talking about because we have some decisions that need to be made. But by the end of Monday night, I wasn't quite there. This is me a week out, and I'm there now. Because Tuesday night, we had an all-hands-on-deck call, my mom and dad, Cooper, me, and my dermatologist. And we had a chat about my rheumatology appointment and some ideas. My dermatologist is the doctor that diagnosed my polyarteritis nodosa vasculitis. And she reached out to one of her old classmates who's running a clinical research study at UPenn that involves a rheumatologist, a dermatologist, and a neurologist who are all fascinated by vasculitis, including polyarteritis nodosa, my kind of vasculitis. And they're having oversight by Dr. Peter Grayson, who is the guy that is helping me at the NIH, who unfortunately have not been able to get a hold of late because I don't know if you've heard, but our government's doing some kind of wacky stuff right now that's making government-funded medical research very messy and very, very difficult. And I will leave it at that. It's been frustrating for me because I cannot get a hold of my own doctor. So my doctor tells us about this clinical research study, also waving arms. This is to study the disease, not to trial a medication or a drug. Although hopefully it would put me on the fast track to participate in clinical research trials down the road. And beyond that too, when you have a rare disease like polyarteritis nodosa, sometimes your best shot at answers and treatments aren't with traditional pathways like seeing a specialist, but it's working with the researchers that are at kind of the fringe and cutting edge of what's next and playing science on your own body, which is scary in and of itself. But I'm at the point where I'm in so much fucking pain every single day again, and I'm tired. I'm fatigued as fuck. Brain fog's getting kind of bad again, and I am on really aggressive treatments. Aggressive treatments that have long-term implications that I don't know how I feel about quite yet. But after we talked about the study and got that ball rolling, it also got the ball rolling in my head to say, hey, wake up, Alex, you've been in survival mode for the last 9 months. And that's great. I'm glad that I could do that and give myself that, because sometimes you don't need to be self-improving all the time. Sometimes you just have to exist and get through. And while I was getting through, I was doing really exciting things that I've been passionate about, like this podcast and content creation and advocacy work and working with my sister in our consulting strategy firm. But I was ignoring my health, I would say. And I let a lot of things slide off the routine that have definitely not helped the current situation. I don't want to say they've hurt the current situation, but if I'm being honest with myself, they probably have, that I have not been doing them. Because I know with some of those things, 1 + 1 does equal 2. And we'll dive into that. But I'm glad that I've had the wake-up call that I've been in survival mode, because survival mode Alex does not process things in real time. I shove things into a closet to deal with later. But I'm ready. I'm through my mental health depression fuckery that was this fall. And I feel like I'm at a place now where I am mentally stable enough and strong enough that I'm ready to get back on the horse, be honest with myself, and hold myself accountable where I can, and also give myself the grace and permission to know that this is not all in my hands, and I would be a fool to think so. This has also opened the door for me to be really honest with Cooper about the things that I currently have fear around, like the fear of stagnation. I don't want to feel like I currently do for another 9 months. This is bullshit and sucks. So yes, some of these treatment plans and ideas aren't that crazy anymore. And on the other hand, I have a fear that I'll take the wrong step, and if I do that, will that slide our timeline of parenthood yet again? Or taking the wrong step and getting my body into a much, much, much worse spot that jeopardizes not just our future possibilities of hopes, goals, and dreams and family planning, but my own health and life. So we're kind of in a pickle. It's like, okay, do nothing and feel like shit and probably get worse. Do something and roll the dice. If you guys couldn't tell, I am a busybody. So we're definitely doing something, but that something has very different outcomes. So I know it needs to be approached with thoughtfulness and research and good questions and open-mindedness, and also paired with what I think I need, not just what Western medicine is telling me. And while I can accept that I'm in a big ass flare up right now and don't feel good, and I can accept that no matter what we do, we don't know what the outcome will be, no matter what, it's worth the fight. Absolutely, it's worth the fight. So, your girl will be charging onwards with surgery tomorrow, which hopefully will lower overall inflammation, charging onwards with adding Cellcept or Myfortic the week after my surgery. Preface, side note, I'm saying Cellcept or Myfortic, they're sister drugs. Cellcept has a side effect that's just literally fear. And when I was on it last time, I had that and it was debilitating, having PTSD and panic attack disorder. So when I went on Myfortic, the sister drug, that went away and it was great. And that medication helped me stabilize and actually get into remission last time as well. And I was pairing it alongside all of my functional and holistic things. So I have high hope of bringing that one back on our team, that some good things could be ahead. We'll also be continuing with Rituxan every 4 to 5 months, and Plaquenil, staying on it daily, and then pray to God. Put it out there in the universe. Claim it as my own. I can get off prednisone. And if I can get off prednisone, that means the larger goal is getting accomplished, which is I'm getting better. The disease is getting stabilized and I'm getting healthier. So if I move forward with all those medications and the timelines I have to be on them and everything, that would put baby timeline, if all things go well, in 2027, mid-2027. Because you have to be off some of these medications for a certain time period because the half-life stays in your body. They have impacts to fetus development, and I want this to be a clean, safe haven for a little one. And hopefully tomorrow, the endometriosis will get out, and that will make it even easier, but we will see. So then from Tuesday through Friday, I had a deep period of reflection. I got really honest with myself, brutally honest with myself about what I was doing, brutally honest with myself, but I'm a tender-hearted girly, so I compliment sandwich the shit out of that for myself. What I was doing well right now. Where were there places for improvement? And what are my goals that are attainable? Now, I'm saying it was only Tuesday through Friday because when Friday hit, I had Rituxan, which was a 10-hour infusion, 2 allergic reactions, which I will say I have a bone to pick. I have overly normalized so many things in my life, including infusion reactions. If I get an itchy mouth, just a little bit, a hot flash, in my own world, I would just continue getting the infusion. Would that lead to a larger infusion reaction later in the infusion or down the road? Yes, probably. So you're supposed to tell a nurse when all that happens. And I do because I am a goody two-shoes and don't like to break rules. And second, big reactions to drugs for me has been full-on anaphylaxis, a cardiac event, an entire CRPS flare-up, pain from hell itself. So that's where the bar is for me. So when I have these really minor reactions, I don't think anything of them, candidly. But my very amazing and very kind nurse team at my infusion center does, and they care about those. And so they stop the infusion. They are all so kind, trying to find the perfect protocol for me to make these infusions easier. And I know I'm being so annoying to them because I keep saying, yeah, but these aren't a big deal to me. Like, this is fine for me. I'm content with this and I'm happy with this, but that's not good enough for them, and bless their souls, because I would have just been like, let's roll with this. This is good enough. And I would have just accepted this as like, that's good enough. Thankfully, they're working on trying to find a dream protocol for me, and I'm very grateful for that. But I do think it's kind of funny that I just think of it so differently, for worse, for sure, because that could really be dangerous to not do anything about this. But from Tuesday until Friday, here's what I came up with. Things that I'm doing well. We'll start there. I am so proud of the movement I have gotten this year and recently. I have been consistent about getting a walk-in almost every single evening. 80-20 rule is what I'm holding for that one. And then I try to do little exercises as I can. Little heel up or toe ups, little squats, little arm weights when I can, And I feel like I'm gently finding strength again. At my peak, which was like 2023-ish, I think. Yeah, 2023. I was a gym rat weightlifting, and I freaking loved being jacked. So I cannot wait to get back to that spot. I felt good. I felt strong. My joints and my connective tissue felt better because there was padding there that made everything move easier. So I'm proud of myself for finding movement, and I'm excited to continue swinging that upwards. Second thing, I'm really proud of myself for upholding a good diet and drinking a ton of water. Yes, again, 80-20 rule. I've tried to do the 100%. It's really hard. I also don't have celiac. I don't have celiac. I don't have Crohn's. I have IBS, obviously. A lot of constipation issues. But that means I can actually eat gluten and not have like a full-blown autoimmune reaction to it. Does it give me a lot of inflammation, give me bloating, and make me feel like asshole? Yes. It is not as severe as someone that has celiac or Crohn's. So I can uphold an 80-20 rule, and if I use a gluten digestive enzyme, I'm definitely in a better spot. I'm not at like 0% impact, but I'm at a better spot. Same with dairy. So I've been very proud of myself for managing my diet this year in a much better way. I haven't been drinking. I drink maybe 10 times a year, and I feel so much better not drinking. So I'm very proud of myself for figuring that out, leaning in, and to still find ways to calm down and unwind, or have that social lubrication, if you will, and drinking water. I'm a water fanatic. I'm so proud of myself. I've kept that habit up, and I'm going to keep you guys hydrated as well, as we've been doing little hazing challenges in our group chat on Instagram. It was so much fun yesterday. And my third thing that I'm proud of is that I have been focused on trying to optimize my sleep. I get awful night sweats when I'm in vasculitis flare-ups, so figuring out how to stay cool while I'm sleeping is super important. Otherwise, I'm getting up, I'm wringing out my clothes and putting on dry pajamas, which is just very turbulent to trying to get a peaceful night's sleep when you are literally so sweaty. I'm excited to optimize that even more by using things like the Loftie products, reintegrating mindfulness at night like meditation or breathing exercises, and less screen time and more reading time, which I got into last year, but I've been on pause. I just go through waves of loving and then not loving reading. And I've been in a not loving reading phase, but the new Fourth Wing book is out, so I'm going to dive back in. And the last one, gratitude journaling. You guys know that's one of my favorite habits. I truly attribute my positive outlook and mindset to gratitude journaling and prayer. Those are the two kind of foundational elements to my mental health and my mood and my outlook on life. So it's really, really important to me that those always stay as core pillars in my life. And I'm proud of myself for doing that so far. But I hate complimenting myself because I'm a millennial and we feel uncomfortable in that space. So let's dive into the assessment of things I'm not doing well and need to do better. First and foremost, my holistic and functional isms have totally hit pause. This time last year, I was on my supplement game. I was doing a gut mold protocol. I was taking things like BPC 157, which is a peptide, and it made me feel fucking awesome. I was getting bi-monthly IV hydration, which so helped the dysautonomia and all autoimmune symptoms. And I did things like EBO2 and I did things like EBO2 and NAD therapy, which I did after my gut cleansing protocol. And that's very important. You want to detox before you do those things. Otherwise, they do not help you and they make you feel much, much worse. There's a term for it. It's called floxing. Do not flox yourself. But I'm not going to be hard on myself for dropping the ball on those things because life has been busy. In the last year, I have also been overcoming a traumatic spinal injury. I've been in a flare-up on the health front. On the life front, Cooper and I both had job transitions where I lost my job and then transitioned after a period of time into entrepreneurship. Cooper got a new job and that was great too. We have also had some family health issues, which has been incredibly stressful. And I hit an all-time low in my mental health. I have never experienced depression like I did this fall. And I also had some friend breakups this last year. And it was just all a lot. So I think it would be ridiculous if I was to put pressure on myself that I didn't do everything perfectly last year. And if I had to drop the ball on one thing, I do a lot for my health. A lot for my health. So if I had to drop the ball on one thing, maybe it's okay that it was one of the 20 things that I do to manage my health and chronic illness conditions. And so if you need that reminder too, that perfectionism is absolute bullshit and you are doing enough, and that it's okay to have an honest conversation with yourself without beating yourself up, then here you go. And also in stepping back and reflecting, I decided which parts of that functional and holistic pathway I wanted to pick back up. I didn't see a ton of return on acupuncture, unfortunately, so it's probably not one I'm going to pick back up. I did see a lot of return on mindfulness, so that's something I will definitely be picking back up. I did see a lot of return from doing a gut protocol and supplementation and EBO2 and all that jazz, so I'll definitely be picking that stuff up, but all within my financial boundaries and my energy boundaries. Not everything all at once, which is very challenging for me being a 0 or 100 kind of girly. And I'm really glad I'm doing this pep talk right now because I have surgery tomorrow in like 15 hours. And it doesn't matter how many surgeries you've had, and I've had so many, I think like 10. It's still really scary to go into them. So here's my reminder to myself. And if you need this, it's for you too. That whatever the outcome is what the outcome is supposed to be. So however much I can sit right now and stew and worry and have anxieties over what if they find nothing, and then we're left with question marks about why am I having all of this pain cyclically in my abdomen? How is this impacting my gastric system? What is this lump? If we do find things, it's the question of, was it a lot or just a little? If it was a lot, why did it get to be that much since my last excision surgery, which was only 2 years ago? And I know that on the table has always been, if it gets a lot worse, we do a hysterectomy. And is that the next step? I don't want it to be. I want to carry my own babies if I can. There's just a lot that impacts that, 2, 5, 10-year plan with tomorrow too. And so sitting with it is overwhelming to say the least. But my most pressing anxiety right now, and this will make you guys laugh, is that I am constipated as hell. And I have been for like a week. Probably all of the stress of last week, and I had a massive pain spike, so I had to take some pain medication, which obviously constipates you. And then I was nauseous from that, so I was taking Zofran, which constipates you. And then I had Rituxan and was given a lot of antihistamines and anti-nausea medication, which constipates you. So Saturday rolled around, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be full of shit. How are they even going to operate on me on Monday? I have to get this stuff out. So I started, really working at it. I do take Miralax every single night. It just hasn't been doing that much. When you go and you're like, okay, well, that was not all of it. That's where I'm at. So I picked up some magnesium citrate. This shit's going to work. No pun intended, but it will work. And we're going to clear it all out so they have a blank canvas to cut into tomorrow. And after tomorrow, I'm planning on just recovering. Whatever the outcomes are, it does not matter because that does not impact my recovery plan. Hopefully, dear Lord, please do not let that impact my recovery plan. I hope I just go home after the surgery, get into bed, and sweet St. Cooper just takes care of me. He's going to make my favorite food. We're going to watch movies. I have been waiting and holding Paddington Bear for this week. I am going to watch a couple great things on Peacock because damn, that streaming service is balling out. It's like Hulu back in 2008 when it was $4. We love that. Thank you for bringing back realistic pricing for streaming services. And I'll be just sleeping and doing all those things. And I like taking SPM Active, which is like a very hyper refined fish oil. Post surgeries, it tends to help me recover a lot faster. And I'll be using my infrared light on the surgical areas to also help with surgical recovery. And then I will be ready for IVIG the next week. I have 2 goals out of IVIG. 1, lower the reactions, and 2, lower the amount of times I have to get it in a period. I get it 5 days in a row every 4 to 6 weeks. I would love to get that down to 2 to 3 days every 6 weeks. That would be so much more doable and less Benadryl, which is also great because that hangover is, you're in a cloud. You cannot string sentences together. So I'm changing from Gamma Guard to a new brand, a different wash. We'll see if I have less of a reaction to it and go from there. But I'm staying hopeful. I have like renewed hope, which is really nice. I feel remotivated. I feel like maybe I was, how like when you procrastinate and then you finally do the thing and you're like, man, that wasn't that bad. I should have just gotten through it. Didn't need to have all that anxiety and depression. kind of feeling a little bit like that right now. So if you are stuck in that space right now where you are head down and ignoring your health, this might be a gentle nudge and reminder that when you address it, you do feel a lot better. So here's your permission to do that, and also to forgive yourself, because ignoring it is also an okay thing to do. It's a survival tactic that you have to do when you need to do it. And while I feel calm and a little bit better about all of this going forward, I also am holding space for the fact that I know none of this could work and all of it could work. So however the chips may fall, I know I have the tools to process and get through either way. And honestly, some of that has to do with you guys, because you guys give me the space and air to be able to talk all this out with y'all, and I'm super appreciative. So thank you for being my ear and my community and helping me find hope and strength when I couldn't find it in my own. And I hope that I can always do that for y'all. So if you are at a point where you are struggling, or if any of this resonated with you, shoot me a DM or put a comment on this, because this is a group of human beings that can rally around you, which is pretty fucking special. So I guess no takeaway this week. Just check in with yourself and lean on me and us if you need it. And I will let you guys know how everything goes next week. Wish me luck, send good vibes, universe, and prayers. Love you guys, and thanks for calling in sick with me yet again. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Calling in Sick. As a reminder, I would love for y'all to like, follow, subscribe, save, share with a friend, do all of the things. It truly helps grow this community, and it helps these episodes reach the people that need them the most, whether that's for an educational piece, to have a little laugh, or to not feel so alone. As a reminder, Calling in Sick sits on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find your listens. From the bottom of my heart, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for calling in sick with me every Monday. It's been an honor and a pleasure so far, and I can't wait to continue building this community with y'all. Love you.